So thank you for the introduction. I'm looking forward to this conversation today. So home safety tips for savvy seniors. The beauty of the UCSD Retirement Association is that you have a host of fantastic folks that come together from estate planning attorneys, financial advisors, home care, everything to put a great team around you so you have all the resources to make this very successful of aging successfully in your home. And I assume that's what most of the people on this call are all about. Last week, we talked a lot about if you think about moving to a retirement community or downsizing, what are the options? This is more about, staying safe in your home. Again, I've done this for 15 years and I have probably visited thousands of people in their homes, and I do always have an opening. I don't want to call it a rant. I call it very passionate recommendations for those that are getting up there in years and want to age in their home. And that is there are really two train tracks involved on that that have left the station, so to speak. And one is your health. We obviously, the old saying goes, without your health, what do you have? So what can we do as regards to home safety to assure that your home is a safe and healthy environment? That's one thing that we'll talk about. And then also the physical structure itself, that is the home itself. And what can you do, just like you get your car tuned up, just as you would go to a doctor to have a checkup, just like you do anything as preventative maintenance reasons, we will talk about what you can do for your home as preventative care for your health. I have walked into far too many homes over the last 15 years where the person did not have that preemptive care, whether at the home itself or their health themselves. And it's very hard to see the results of that, or to witness the results of that. So, like I always say, and people hear me, there's 2,500 members or more now of the UCSD Retirement Association. We have about 8 people on this call. So that means there's 2,492 other people that are not getting this advice. So I encourage, if you know someone in your sphere that their world has become very small, they're not getting out, they're not participating in the webinars, the Zoom calls, there may be more to it than them just not feeling up to getting on a Zoom call. And we need to reach out to those people with a proactive help to get them maybe just a little bit of help would go a long way in terms of their happiness. So I say that to because it's very important. It's very passionate to me that we try to reach out to people that aren't savvy seniors reaching out through these programs. So Ron Greenwald, who is oh, it didn't work. Why did it not work? Oh, there we go. So again, how do I make a living? I make a living when people buy or sell real estate throughout the country. I have a team of 4 of us. I am the gentleman in the picture. There's Katie, Jolene, and Jackie. We've been together many, many years, and we really strive to make the rest of your life the best of your life. We care about you and your needs and your wants, as opposed to those people that are telling you what you need and want. So that's who we are. Senior stay or go. That's the famous phrase, senior stay. What is in your best interest? We know that 95% of the population wants to age in place, and rightfully so. You bought your home maybe in the 60s. I don't know how many, what we got on the screen here, 60s, 70s, 80s. You lived there 40 years. You bought it for $100,000 and now it's worth $3 million. And what do you do about capital gains taxes or inheritance to your children, grandchildren, whatever the case may be? There are so many decision points that's what we talk about, stay or go, and what are the options, what are the consequences, and what are the long-term effects, what we call smart sizing. I can't, again, it is true. Enjoy life. It has an expiration date. So my goal in all of this is for your life to be filled with health and safety, happiness. And how do we do that? One of the ways we do that is take you on a journey. This is what I call the caterpillar, or whatever you might want to call the look of this. But this is regards if you're moving to a senior living community, the steps that you may take. So if somebody is even contemplating the idea in 5 or 10 years that you may want to take a senior community tours of senior communities, or think about moving to a senior community, we would start that process to now that may be a decade away, but it's important to start the journey. As this relates to aging in place and home safety, you'll see I guess I would call it the red tab, home inspection safety, the green and the red. The very beginning of this is something that you could do now, and that's safety review and home inspection. Again, like I said at the very beginning, you are going in for checkups with your doctor, you have your car tuned up, you have all other things in your life. You have maintenance programs for many, many things. Do you have a maintenance program for your home? As one ages and as one gets aches and pains and as one is climbing stairs, you may look past things in your home that need evaluation: plumbing, electrical, roof, siding. Everything deteriorates over time, especially if we're living along the coast. And what can we do to make sure for small problems, small fixes, large problems, large fixes? So there are home inspectors. You may have a plumber, an electrician, a roofer, or you can get a general report called a home inspection that would give you a 60-page report, point by point, of things that are going on in your home from floor to ceiling, top to bottom. Again, do you have to address them all? Absolutely not. Do you want to be aware of them? So at some point in time, you may want to address them. Yes. Do you have to bring your home up to 2024 code if you bought a home in 1970? Absolutely not. Do you want to be aware of some of those codes so that if at the future point, you may want to sell that home, you want to be aware of what the codes are? Maybe. It's all about discussion. It's all about knowledge and being in front of the curve rather than reactive. So what does a home inspector cost to do a home today? 5, 6, 7, $800. Do it once every 2 years. Is it worth the investment? I think so. One of the things I do like to promote is I do a podcast called The Ron Greenwald Show, and we bring on people of great backgrounds and interests and knowledge as to aging, whether it's from every spectrum of the aging process and dying. And dying. We had a gentleman who works with hospice quite a bit just on that will be released shortly. So I encourage you to listen to it. There's about 45 different 45 different podcasts covering everything, including wine and travel. So you may want to tune into one of your favorites. Real estate options, again, for those that were on last week, aging in place. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot today: senior communities and home share. Most common reasons for seniors who cannot end up living independently: falls, falls, falls. We must be aware of the type of flooring and how we're stepping and what we're wearing on our feet 24/7. Sorry to say that, 24/7. What are you wearing? Are you wearing socks that if you hit a wet spot, you're going to go flying? Are you wearing socks with little grips on the bottom that, hey, what kind of like suction cups? Do you have area rugs? I know we love our area rugs, but they are a trip hazard. What kind of flooring do you have in your home that would hopefully prevent you from falling? Do you have a home that has a window over the bathtub and you like to get that fresh air in the bathroom and you step into a wet tub and reach for a window high up in the wall? That is a fall waiting to happen. So anything that we can do to, logic prevails. Logic prevails in terms of trying to prevent falls. Sprains, all of us who took up pickleball, oh well, that's the way it is. We're gonna probably have sprain ourselves a little bit on that one, but hopefully we can avoid it. Again, so the middle picture here, I want to address that. If you put in grab bars, or what we now want to refer to as balance bars anywhere through the house, especially in the bathroom, do not, and you can see, do not get the ones that you get at CVS or Walmart that are suction cups. Those are not going to hold when you're dead weight falling. They're not going to hold if they're just suction into the wall. They got to be built into the stud so they can hold your weight if you were to fall, and strategically placed to the important place. So contractors will do that. Big item, decluttering. One of the biggest reasons for falls, one of the biggest reasons that you will develop mold in your home or critters coming into your home that leave things behind is too much stuff. We talked about this last week. I highly encourage you to think, kind of turn the mindset of, I'm not going to wait till I pass away to give away all my stuff, all of my treasures, all of my things. I am going to start now so I can open up some pathways and maybe move my furniture around a little bit so that I have less steps from the bed to the bathroom at night. Little things like that. If you declutter, and do I have a straighter path to the bathroom at 2 in the morning, that may stop a fall from happening because I'm weaving around things as I get up and go to the bathroom. I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. So from a decluttering standpoint, many things. One, yes, like you see the Salvation Army, you can start donating goods. They are much more restrictive these days than they used to be post-COVID. But you can also call in the family and say, you know what? I want to start giving away my things now because I want to minimalize my life a little bit, because I've been told that this is a better way to live in terms of a healthy lifestyle, in terms of falling and access to different. I can maybe lower things on the high shelves and bring them down to the lower cabinets because I've gotten rid of a lot of my treasures. And you're giving those treasures to family members or loved ones or neighbors who really want it. And it's a joy to give things away, right? We all love to give things to people that want our precious memorabilia. So think about having a family party of starting to give things away. What they don't want, donate. So decluttering is a major point of contention in terms of living safely long-term in your home. So age in place remodeling, there are contractors all throughout San Diego County that have special certificates in the age in place remodeling concept in terms of everything from floor to ceiling, cabinets, faucets, everything that can be imaginable, they have in their portfolio of goods. Do you have to do all of them? No. Do you have to do every room? Of course not. But it's not something that detracts anymore from the look of the home. They have really stepped up their game in terms of classiness, in terms of remodeling, in terms of the way it looks, in terms of actually adding value to the home, because people are staying in their homes longer because of the cost of moving and taxes and everything else. So you are not making a short-term investment. You are making a long-term investment in being able to stay in your home longer by taking on universal design construction that can help you stay in your home longer. I mean, I'm just looking at the micro. How many people have a microwave that you have to get on a step stool to or something like that? Step stools are not my favorite thing if you're doing that in your kitchen. So what can we do to lower everything through universal design? And you have, again, the big overarching picture of this is that we have I don't do this, but I have the resources and people to call if you're interested in getting a hold of a contractor that specializes in aging in place remodeling. There's some very large ones in town, large contractors that have showrooms for this, that have classrooms on this, have videos, YouTube, the whole thing, for you to just get an idea of what may work for you. Making the home accessible to all. The lower, again, I'm not sure how you're looking at it, but where it says 3584 33rd Street, that is actually a home in North Park on 3584 3rd Street. I don't know if it's a senior that lives there, but if that person had to call 911 in an emergency for a pickup, I don't think they're going to miss that home. So I know it may be an exaggeration of what you want to do to advertise your home, but if you're just relying on the curb with, somebody comes in and paints the number on the curb in San Diego with so many streets going in so many different directions, I highly encourage you to make your street number very, very visible. You see the 504 there. So that in the case of an emergency, seconds do matter and that they can find your home very clearly. The other thing, obviously, is now with, and I'll kind of Ring doorbell and lights and cameras. I highly, highly recommend as much automatic lighting in front of your home as possible for many reasons, besides being able to find your home in case of an emergency, whether it's an ambulance or police, that it lights up like a Christmas tree automatically if somebody comes within a certain amount of distance to it. And also, if you're somebody who goes on a lot of vacations, who travels a lot, or is away from home a lot, we are in a period. I'm in real estate. I do real estate, and every time I am selling an empty home, I put in cameras and all the security for fear of somebody coming in and squatting in my home. Not my home, but the home that I'm trying to sell. So it is what it is in today's world. So the more that you can make it look lived in, lit, and things like that, the less likely that somebody is going to intrude in your home. If you're away from the home for more than a week or two, please stop the newspaper. If you're getting a newspaper delivery, make it look live in and lit. So two double-edged sword on that. Lever style entry handles. That would be true for everything that you do, from the water faucet to the cabinets. Again, if you have a little bit of arthritis, to turn the knob versus a lever, or up and down on the lever, very easy to do on a lever, harder to do on a knob with any type of arthritis or chronic pain in the hands. Floating cabinets. I'm gonna read a little bit just to make obviously the taller seats for the toilet. Fantastic. Don't have to bend down as much. Abundant lighting. So much lighting today can be automatic. You walk into the room, it goes on a dimmer, so it doesn't have to be, you can set it on the dimmer, so how bright you want it. All of those things are easily accessible through the technology that we have today. Low maintenance finishes. Again, like I said at the very beginning, as we age, cleaning and maintenance is not something that our body wants to do every day. That's just not our thing, aches and pains. So the lower the maintenance, just like outside, the lower the landscape need of a house, just the same thing on the inside. What kind of finishes can you put in your home that don't need that constant maintenance to look good? And you ask the professionals on that. Abundant lighting, that we talked about, the faucets. Ventilation, where is the ventilation? so that you don't have to reach. No step shower like here, and a bench in the shower, and balance bars that are built into the studs. Again, I just personal, we got rid of we have no bathtub in our home. We have two walk-in showers and we are thrilled. I am a senior and we made that executive decision, Linda and I, to do away with bathtubs. Yes, once in a while it would be nice, but the walk-in showers is just something that we thought was in our best long-term interest to stay in this home because we want to stay there just like you guys do as long as possible. Technology in the home. This goes again. I would have to, you'd have to be obviously everybody's pretty aware of this today between the Apple Watches and all the systems that we have in place. Everything can pretty much be automated. Heat thermostats, the airflow in the home can be monitored, motion switchers, timers on lamps, smart locks, internet videos like we talked about. I think it's very important to have cameras around the home today with the Ring doorbells and the smartphone apps. As you know, if you are to fall, the smartphone can call 911. I don't have a smartphone yet. I'm still resistant on that myself a little bit, but I know that if you can set it up so if you fall, it will call 911 as opposed to people all resist on the pendant of doing that. So again, I'm not a techie guy, but I know it's all out there, and I know if it can be done, you might want to do. It's always hard to take it all on at once. It's overwhelming. It's too much. So think of breaking this down and compartmentalize it a little bit. My first thing would be let's declutter first, then maybe get a home inspection, and then maybe take on some of this technology that Ron's talking about so that you have like a 2-year, 3-year plan that this home is dialed in, technologically savvy, and you're ready to live there for another 20 to 30 years. That would be the plan, the timeline, the timetable. Compartmentalize this so it doesn't get this so overwhelming as I'm presenting it in 1 hour. Yikes. Make the building work hard for you. I mean, I'm kind of weaving all this all in as I'm talking. Certainly make sure in the middle of there that your smoke detectors are updated, your carbon monoxide detectors are updated. You may think it's all working great, but many times they're not. Make sure that I'm not a big fan of the inexpensive ones. I like the ones that are a little bit more expensive, but that are going to guarantee to work. Make sure they're in every bedroom and in terms of the smoke detectors. So solar power lighting, great, and that's one that's been bantered about a lot. And solar power, again, this slide is about a year and a half old or 2 years old, and solar power now is kind of not on the wane, but given what the SDG&E is doing in terms of payback and credits and all of these things going on with solar power, that may not be as cost effective as when this slide was generated. So be leery of that before you jump into buying or getting solar on your roof. I will tell you, I ask you, I beg you, don't lease it. If you're going to do it, buy it outright. The leases, and I'm speaking from a real estate perspective, if you do have to go sell your home, the transfer of a lease can be very traumatic in terms of a buyer taking on the lease, or your lease may require you to pay it all off on the sale. It's a contract that has lots of pages and lots of legalities to it. So before you take on a lease, and I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying make sure you may have I hate to bring in the attorney, but maybe you have a business attorney look at it before you sign on to any kind of lease for solar. These are kind of exciting, and I'm gonna have to update this slide because they've come out with a lot newer, better looking floor lifts than this one. This is about a 4-year-old slide, but these are literally elevators placed in your home, a current home. You can kind of see how it would work from top to bottom, wheelchair wheelchair accessible. can go up and down. Totally a great idea. Would you want to sell your house with this in it? Probably not. But certainly, if you have that need to go up and down and you don't want to put a chairlift on your staircase, this is something that I would certainly look into. Again, they have become much more designer friendly, if you want to put it that way. It's still an elevator in your home, but to try to go to retrofit an elevator outside of your home or anything else is going to be very expensive. This is a much simpler idea, and think it's great. I think we talked about this last week. This is a AARP. AARP has more things on their website than any website I can even begin to tell you. But if you go into the home fit, Google AARP home fit guide, this should come up. And you can request it. If you want me to request it for you, go ahead and email me and I will send it out to you. It literally goes, as you can kind of tell by this slide, point by point. You can see how many just little blue marks are on the door. And point by point, room by room, piece of furniture by piece of furniture on how to make your home safe and sane for aging in place. It's a very detailed book. And again, we'll go room by room, whether get it, take it home, put it on the coffee table and make it a discussion point. And again, if you do have children and grandchildren, bring them over and have a chat about it and see what everybody thinks, get consensus on what makes sense. If you're living alone, and bring some friends over and have a discussion point. Why I'm saying that is, have a discussion about this. We all are aging. We want to age because the alternative isn't what I want. I want to age. I want to age successfully. So having talks about this with people that you respect, that you admire, that have your best interests at heart, you can kind of, again, compartmentalize the vast amount of information that this guide will give you. So you have a plan, you have some kind of direction, you have some kind of endpoint. So you have some kind of measurable points in time that will allow you to see success. What happens is we start these things and it gets overwhelming and we just stop them. So again, I am encouraging you to have a team around you who will participate with you in these home fit changes to allow you to see success and share success. There's nothing better than sharing one's success on this type of journey. And it is a journey. It is something you didn't anticipate happening. This is another the AAOS. Home safety is bone safety. Orthopedic, orthopedic doctors, I think, again, something that we can request for you if you want to get a copy of it. It's a little different than what the AARP. This is more environmental risk factors, aging risk factors, and things like that. And so remember the double train track that I talked about. One is your health, and then the home's health. Two parallel train tracks that we're trying to take. We're trying to have a bullet train side by side going 200 miles an hour, helping you age successfully. Caregiving home care assistance. I just met with Dr. Montoya, and I believe she's a speaker for you. I think I've seen her on the anyway. Aging life specialist. I just had coffee with her this morning. At some point in time, and again, as I said, I'm not sure who's on the call, if it's couples, single individuals, and things like that. Classic case, husband and wife. And we all know males, we're not great. I'm not a great caregiver. My wife would be a much better caregiver than me. It is true. It is what it is. You really want, as a spouse, to not be the caregiver. You want to be the loving spouse. I have seen way too many people who tried to be the caregiver end up wanting a divorce And I'm talking after a 60-year marriage, a 50-year marriage, because they just got so overwhelmed and their health deteriorated to the point where they needed caregiving. So it's a tough decision. Till death do us part. I understand it. I respect it. But again, it's death to us part as a spouse, maybe not so much a caregiver. I'm not meaning you give up all of your loving care, but in terms of the the hard part of caregiving, the really part that you don't want to do, maybe you find somebody else to do that. I'm relating to all this because you want to stay aging in place. You want to stay in your home. So, as a husband and wife, or a partner, or a couple, whatever it may be, you want to age in place successfully, you may need that third party to visit the home periodically for health checks, for wellness checks, for help in supporting you do that. Now, having said that, who you bring in your home is critical. Please do not bring in someone that you found on Craigslist or somebody you found at church. Or a synagogue. Any of that can be fraught with liability risk unless you put that person on a payroll, because guess what? You got workers' comp. So an agency, even though yes, you're going to pay more money than just bringing someone that you found randomly through an ad, you are protected from liability in so many ways if that person you bring into your house were to have their fall or have an issue in your house. Liability today, the lawyers are, I don't know if there's any lawyers on the call, but lawyers are these kind of lawyers that want to sue for this type of issue are they're out there. So please be careful with that. But again, if your other half, if your partner or spouse, whoever that may be, is resisting bringing someone in because hey, I don't need help, I'm fine. That's the comment. You may start small. Bring somebody in for an hour or two. Now, again, will they come in for a minimum amount of time? That's what you got to call. If you want I mean, you have home care people come in and speak, get their concepts of what the minimums are, and have a very detailed, in-depth discussion of your expectations of what you want that caregiver to provide. Do not expect that same caregiver will be there every time, every Monday at 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, whatever the case may be. It just doesn't work. The labor pool isn't big enough to guarantee that person. But if you have a working document with the home care agency that says, these are my expectations, this is the list of the people that in terms of what I want them to do, and this is how I want them when they're here, this is what my expectations are of what they will do for me and or my loved one, then that meeting of the minds takes place, and your experience as someone who has somebody coming into their house will be much better. We all resist having someone come in and kind of take over, but if we have that working document and have very in-depth discussions, it hopefully will go better. So you start with a minimum amount of time. As the needs of you and or your loved one increases, maybe you increase that amount of time that they're there for you. Now, home care is not home health care. Two different things. A home care person is going to maybe cook and maybe do some cleaning, watch TV with you, play cards with you, take you on walks, maybe take you for a drive, things like that. They're not going to provide health care services. That's somebody in a different class and a different field. So just understand the difference between home care, home health care, and then home care management. Home care, home health care, and home care management. Home care management is somebody who will be your advocate and maybe oversee the home care person on your behalf. They also may be the one who goes with you to your doctor's appointment. Again, for those that are listening on this, I assuming you're not a physician or a nurse, maybe you're and your children are and grandchildren are not doctors and nurses. Do you know the questions to ask of your physician, of your people that you're going to for advice on healthcare? Most of us do not know the questions to ask, and therefore we get overprescribed medications and we go to too many doctors. And being stuck in the healthcare system today, I do not encourage that. You do not want to end up in the hospital. You do not want to end up in a SNF. SNF stands for skilled nursing facility. So anything that we can do to avoid that is money well spent. So a home care management person is somebody who could be it's kind of like your financial advisor for healthcare. It's kind of like your estate planning attorney for healthcare, that they are going to go with you and be your advocate and fight for you, as opposed to medicine interaction and things that may not be in your best interest. I hope I'm not scaring everybody. But this is true. This is what we got to deal with. I mean, I am telling you right now, 15 years of doing this, I am going crazy with people. You don't know what you don't know. It's too overwhelming. I'm 68 years old. I am overwhelmed by all the things that are put in front of me on a daily basis in terms of medical and everything that I have to deal with. And so I'm encouraging you to get those professionals, and you have them at your exposure through the USD Retirement Association, to get that team in place and trust in them that they are doing what's best in your best interest. Okay, financing, reverse mortgages. Interest rates have doubled in the last couple of years. What used to be a very favorable product in the low interest rate environment of 2 or 3% is still a viable product, but the interest rates are now 7 to 8%. And a reverse mortgage can provide you the money for you to make these changes to your home. They can provide you the money to go on a cruise ship and sail around the world. They can provide you the money to do whatever you want. You do not have to pay the money back while you're living in the home. And you do have to you do pay the property taxes and things like that. The issue is, does it matter to you that you are absorbing equity in the home by doing a reverse mortgage? It's a, yes or no. And what is the monthly nut that mortgage is going to increase? So let's say you pull out $300,000 today on a reverse mortgage to do all of these retrofits on the home, and you live another 20 years, and that $300,000 is now a $900,000 debt. Is that the responsibility of you? You've passed away. It's certainly not your responsibility. It's not even your estate's responsibility. It's not it's not your children's responsibility to pay it off, but it is the responsibility of the estate to pay it off. So if you're fortunate enough that you live to 105 and the reverse mortgage debt is greater than the value of the home, that's on the reverse mortgage to eat. They lose. So again, you are eating, not eating is about, you are the reverse mortgage is increasing its debt every month based on a deferred interest rate. You don't have to pay it, but it is chipping away into the equity every month. But that may be of no, hey, kids, sorry. I want to live in my home. I want to enjoy the home. And it's true. It's your money. It's not their money. It's your money to do with as you see fit. So, but just understand, again, have that conversation with your team as to, is this the best model for me as the person who wants to stay in this home for the X amount of years, perceived X amount of years, to take on a reverse mortgage? And I'm happy to have a discussion on that. Financial awareness, all of these things come into play if you are, capital gains has to do if you sell your home, but we're talking about aging in place and not selling in your home. So the middle square and the square which says step up in basis really pertain to this conversation. Prop 19 did away with obviously the prior propositions of 60/90. So Prop 19 is if you have your home and you bought it 30, 40 years ago, it has a very low property tax basis. Let's just say you pay $2,000 a year in property tax basis. If you are going to pass that home on to your children to inherit, will they be able to get the benefit of a $2,000 a year? I'm going to say a monthly. Let's say it's $2,000 a year in property taxes. Will your children be able to enjoy a $2,000 a year property tax on the home that they inherit from you? It depends. It depends on if they live in the home. If they live in the home, the odds that they will be able to obtain that mother son, mother daughter benefit, parent child benefit. If they don't live in the home and decide to rent it out, it does not apply. So be aware of that fact. So people that own multiple rental properties in this audience, or people that own multiple, let's say they own rental property and they're going to pass them along to their children, thinking that the children are going to inherit the low property tax basis, no longer holds true. So Prop 19 had some benefits to older adults thinking to move, but it also had some inheritance tax repercussions that kind of got buried in the proposition. Step up in basis. So again, let's go back to the scenario that you bought your home in 1980 for $200,000, and now it's worth $2 million. If you were to sell it today, you would pay capital gains tax on the sale of that property. There are some exclusions from the amount of capital gains tax, but you would have a capital gains tax on the sale of your primary residence. However, again, if you are husband and wife and you own the home properly titled in a trust, and in 2024, your spouse were to pass away, you could then sell that home within a year's period, say, so to speak, and it'll have eliminated capital gains tax on the sale of a primary residence. Why? Because your home was properly titled in the name of the trust. Upon the passing of your loved one, you got what they call a full step up in basis to current fair market value, and you literally could sell that home the next day and incur no capital gains. So having said that, I continually get calls from financial planners and estate planning attorneys to do what they ask me to do, is they call a broker opinion of value. If any of you who are listening have a loved one, you lived in your home for 40 years, your spouse passed away 5 years ago, and the financial advisor, your estate planning attorney is coming to me and say, Ron, can you give me a broker opinion of value of the home 5 years ago in 2019? Because we got a step up in basis. We purchased the home in 1980. We get a step up in basis on the passing of the first spouse to 2019. And now you're going to sell the home in 2024. This is very in the weeds. The gain is only calculated on the increase in value from 2019 to 2024, which is in theory less than obviously the gain from 1980. So that's step up in basis, and that's a lot to absorb in a Zoom call. It's a lot easier if I can put it on a whiteboard and things like that. But anyway, questions, I'm here for you at the end to do that. So recommendations, I highly encourage, like we talked about, is to give away your treasures now, to declutter, open up the home a little bit, have better walking paths for you. If you have a two-story home and your home could be made into a master downstairs, I'm all in favor of that one. Have a medical advocate. We talked about that, an they call it aging life specialist, who would be your medical advocate. Yearly home maintenance, we talked about that at the beginning. My mom always used to say small children, small problems, grown children, big problems. So yearly home maintenance, we may find little issues with the home that we can easily address and get them resolved before they become a flood. Comfortable with professional assistance, home care, being comfortable with people coming into your home, hard thing to do. Financial decisions, don't hang on to all these old, some of the old school thought of what's best in terms of financial. Let's have an up-to-date talk about it. So enjoy each day, as I always say. So, I mean, where is the chat box? I don't know. So I'm just looking for questions. I don't know if there's any.
Well, thank you, Ron. And yes, I'm sure some questions will come through. But yes, we do work with Rebecca Montoya.
Yeah, I thought so.
I think that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
just
she'll
had
be invited for
coffee with her this morning.
Yeah, so she'll be back to present for us if she agrees next programming year as well. So thank you for bringing that up. But does anyone have any questions for Ron? I know he presented a lot of information, which I hope that he didn't scare you too. But yes, I'll take questions, or he'll take questions if anyone has any. You might have been in the game so long, Ron, that you must have answered all the questions they had.
There's no way I did that, but I'm happy. My email, I'm sure, is out there for you guys. I'm a resource. I've been doing this. I'm happy to provide you with resources on anything that you may want to question. It's for you. And obviously within UCSD, you have Dr. Rebecca Montoya. Just have a conversation with her as to what her services are. Again, it may not be today, but I can guarantee you at some point in time when we're 75, 80, 85, 90, we're going to have a need for all of the services that I have spoken about. So be proactive with them. Know who you want to be in charge of you. It's not giving up control. It's gaining control when you are proactively reaching out to all of these people we talked about so that you have all the bits and pieces in play. It's just like a puzzle that you are putting together now. So when the time is needed, you're not reaching for pieces that you don't understand. So that's my pitch, I guess, for lack of a better word.
That's very well said. And then am I free to share your email with anyone that asks for it?
Please do. Please do.
Okay. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions, but I will go ahead and share the email. This meeting has been recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel as well if you want to refer back to anything Ron said. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ron.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy this beautiful weather today we got for a change. No rain.
Okay, goodbye.